Have you ever wondered why American tankers called their own tank a death trap, yet it won World War II? Or how a medium tank designed in 1940 is still fighting in wars today? Well, strap in, because the M4 Sherman is history's most controversial winner that burned crews alive yet rolled into Berlin. Today, we're revealing 15 shocking facts about this mass-produced marvel that was outgunned by German tanks yet buried the Wehrmacht under sheer numbers. And number one will show you why quantity defeated quality. Hit that like button, subscribe for more, and let's roll out with the Sherman. 15. Mass production. Miracle America built 49,234 Sherman tanks during World War II. That's not a typo. Nearly 50,000 tanks in just 4 years. No nation has ever matched this production achievement. Multiple factories across America churned out Shermans continuously from 1942 to 1945. At peak production, one Sherman rolled off assembly lines every 45 minutes. Detroit automotive plants converted to tank production, applying mass manufacturing techniques to armored warfare. Henry Ford's assembly line methodology was applied to weapons production with devastating effectiveness. The industrial capacity was so overwhelming that America could replace battlefield losses faster than Germany could destroy them. Sheer numbers became a strategic weapon. American factories produced more tanks than Germany's entire war production across all vehicle types. 14. Ronson lighter. Nicknamed British tankers nicknamed the Sherman Ronson after the cigarette lighter brand, whose slogan was "Lights first time, every time." This dark humor referenced the Sherman's horrifying tendency to catch fire when hit. The gasoline engine and ammunition storage made Shermans incredibly flammable. German tank crews knew one penetrating hit would often result in catastrophic fire. Allied tankers lived in terror of brewing up, their term for the tank catching fire. The Ronson nickname was gallows humor from men who knew their survival odds were terrible. American crews called it the Tommy Cooker, or just accepted they were riding in a death trap. The fire problem wasn't just reputation, it was documented reality. Survival rates for Sherman crews hit by German guns were significantly lower than for crews in other Allied tanks. The nickname stuck because it was tragically accurate. 13. Outgunned. From day one, the Sherman's 75mm gun was adequate in 1942, but obsolete by 1944. German Panthers and Tigers had guns that could penetrate Shermans from over a mile away. Shermans had to close to suicidal ranges to penetrate German armor. American doctrine required numerical superiority, typically 5 Shermans to destroy 1 Panther. The first 4 Shermans were expected to die while maneuvering the 5th into position for a kill. This wasn't tactics, it was math. Tank crews knew they were cannon fodder in mathematical equations written by generals far from the front. The 76mm gun upgrade helped, but still couldn't match German firepower. Even late-war Shermans struggled against heavy German armor frontally. American tankers went into battle knowing they were outgunned and would likely die. The gun inadequacy was accepted because production capacity mattered more than individual tank superiority. 12. 5 different engines. Shermans used 5 completely different engine types because no single engine was available in sufficient quantities. Some had radial aircraft engines, others continental radials, Chrysler multi-bank engines, GM diesels, or Ford V8s. This created a logistics nightmare. Mechanics needed training on multiple engine types. Spare parts weren't interchangeable between variants. A Ford-powered Sherman couldn't use parts from a Chrysler-powered one. But this chaos enabled production to continue without bottlenecks. When one engine supplier couldn't meet demand, another filled the gap. The Soviet Union received thousands of diesel Shermans while American units got gasoline versions. This part's nightmare was the price of mass production. Standardization would have been better tactically, but would have reduced production numbers. 11. Better than Soviet tanks. The Soviets received over 4,000 Shermans through Lend-Lease and loved them compared to their own T-34. Soviet tankers preferred Shermans because they had better optics, gun sights, radios, and crew comfort. The T-34 was arguably a better fighting vehicle, but the Sherman was a better place to work. Soviet crews appreciated the reliability, ease of maintenance, and superior crew ergonomics. Russian winter destroyed many Soviet tanks mechanically, but Shermans kept running. The diesel-powered Shermans sent to Russia were particularly valued for cold weather reliability. Soviet tankers reported better survival rates in Shermans than T-34s due to superior crew layout and escape hatches. This comparative advantage shows that best depends on context. The Sherman wasn't the best tank technically, but it was often the best tank to actually live and fight in. crew preference mattered more than specification sheets suggested. 10. Served until 1990s. Shermans remained in active military service until the 1990s, over 50 years after production ended. Paraguay used Shermans in border disputes into the 1990s. Chile operated them until the mid-1980s. Israel used heavily modified Super Shermans with French guns and diesel engines into the 1980s, fighting successfully in multiple Arab-Israeli wars. The basic design proved so adaptable that continuous upgrades kept it relevant for decades. Countries without money for modern tanks found Shermans adequate for regional conflicts. The long service life shows the design's fundamental soundness despite wartime flaws. When properly upgraded with better guns and engines, the Sherman could fight effectively against much newer opposition. Developing nations operated Shermans longer than America operated many replacement designs. The tank that was obsolete in 1945 fought wars for another 40-plus years through sheer adaptability and availability. 9. Wet stowage solution. The catastrophic fire problem was eventually addressed with wet stowage ammunition racks surrounded by water or antifreeze jackets. When ammunition was hit, the liquid would delay or prevent catastrophic explosions and fires. This simple modification dramatically improved crew survival rates. Wet stowage Shermans had significantly lower brew-up rates than earlier versions. The solution came too late for thousands of tankers who died in fireballs, but it saved many lives from 1944 onward. The wet stowage system added weight and complexity but was universally welcomed by crews who'd watched friends burn to death. It proved that the fire problem was solvable but also revealed that it should have been addressed in the original design. The modification showed American willingness to adapt based on combat experience. Better late than never, though many tankers wished it had come much sooner. 8. Jumbo Assault Tank. The M4 A3E2. Jumbo Sherman was an up-armored assault variant with armor thicker than a Tiger tank. The front armor was 4 inches thick, capable of deflecting German 88mm guns at most combat ranges. Only 254 were built, making them rare. Jumbo Shermans were used to spearhead attacks, absorbing fire while regular Shermans flanked. Crews loved the Jumbo because they could finally fight German tanks without suicidal vulnerability. The extra armor added weight, reducing speed and mobility, but crews gladly traded speed for survivability. Jumbos performed excellently in urban combat, where their armor advantage was maximized. They proved the Sherman chassis could handle significant upgrades. The Jumbo showed what the Sherman could have been if protection had been prioritized over production speed and shipping weight. The limited production meant most tankers never got to experience the improved survivability. 7. British Firefly Upgrade. The British created the Sherman Firefly by installing a powerful 17-pounder anti-tank gun, transforming it into a Panther killer. The Firefly could penetrate German heavy tanks frontally at combat ranges. This British modification fixed the Sherman's biggest weakness: inadequate firepower. The 17-pounder was so long it required significant internal modifications and eliminated one crew member. British tank formations included Fireflies specifically to counter German armor, while regular Shermans provided support. German tankers learned to identify and prioritize Fireflies because they posed the only serious threat. The Firefly modification proved the Sherman chassis was capable of handling better weapons if someone bothered to install them. 6. Easy. 8. Excellence. The M4 A3E8. Easy 8 Sherman was the best American version, incorporating all lessons learned. It had improved suspension, better engine, 76mm gun, wet ammunition storage, and upgraded armor. The Easy 8 arrived too late for most of the war, but became the standard post-war Sherman variant. Korea proved the Easy 8's effectiveness, dominating North Korean T-34-85 tanks, despite the T-34 being newer and theoretically superior. American crews in Easy 8s consistently outfought communist armor through better optics, radios, crew training, and reliability. The Easy 8 showed what the Sherman should have been from the start if there'd been more development time. It remained competitive into the 1950s when properly employed and became the base for numerous post-war upgrades used worldwide. 5. Diesel versus gasoline. Debate. Most American Shermans used gasoline engines, while export versions often had diesels. Diesel engines were less flammable, crucial for survival. Gasoline Shermans burned more readily when hit, contributing to the death trap reputation. The U.S. Army chose gasoline for logistics reasons. American forces had established gasoline supply chains. Diesel would have required separate fuel logistics, but this decision killed American tankers who might have survived in diesel-powered versions. The Soviets and British received diesel Shermans and appreciated the reduced fire risk significantly. Post-war, most Sherman operators converted to diesel engines for safety and economy. The gasoline versus diesel choice shows how logistics trumped crew safety in American decisions. Production and supply convenience mattered more than tanker survival. It was a calculated trade-off that seemed reasonable to planners but felt like betrayal to crews. 4. Infantry support, not tank fighter. The Sherman was designed for infantry support, not tank versus tank combat. American doctrine assumed tank destroyers would handle enemy armor while Shermans supported infantry and exploited breakthroughs. This doctrine failed in European combat, where Shermans frequently fought German tanks directly. The design priorities reflected the infantry support mission: reliable, mobile, good high-explosive ammunition, 360-degree vision for spotting infantry threats. Anti-tank capability was secondary. Then combat forced Shermans into tank battles they weren't optimized for. Against infantry and fortifications, the Sherman was excellent. Against the Panthers and Tigers, it was outmatched. American tankers paid the price for doctrinal assumptions that didn't survive contact with reality. The Sherman's flaws were partly because it was used wrong, fighting missions its designers never intended. Doctrine failed tankers as much as engineering. 3. Saved by numbers. The Sherman's ultimate advantage was quantity overwhelming quality. Germany built approximately 6,000 Panthers, arguably superior tanks. America built 49,000 plus Shermans. When Germany destroyed 5 Shermans, 10 more appeared. The mathematics were brutal and insurmountable. German tankers could achieve kill ratios of 5-to-1 or even 10-to-1 and still lose because America replaced losses faster than Germany could inflict them. Production capacity became the decisive weapon. The Sherman wasn't the best tank, but there were so many that it didn't matter. American industry crushed German engineering through sheer volume. Quality couldn't overcome quantity when the quantity gap was this enormous. This industrial warfare lesson influenced all subsequent conflicts. The Sherman proved that adequate weapons produced in overwhelming numbers defeat superior weapons produced in limited quantities. It's harsh, but strategically correct. 2. Crew survival philosophy. Despite the death trap reputation, the Sherman's design actually prioritized crew survival in some ways. Escape hatches were excellent, allowing quick crew evacuation when hit. The spacious interior gave crews room to move and escape. American tankers could bail out faster than German crews from tighter, more cramped tanks. The Sherman's height, criticized as making it easier to hit, also meant more crew space and better survivability when penetrated. American doctrine emphasized crew preservation, accepting tank losses if crews survived to fight in replacement vehicles. Germany prioritized tank survivability over crew, creating tanks that protected themselves better, but trapped crews inside. The Sherman's philosophy was, the tank will probably be destroyed, ensuring the crew survives. This approach meant experienced crews kept fighting while German veterans died in superior machines. 1. Won by losing. Here's the ultimate truth. The Sherman won World War II by being inferior. Its inadequacy was its greatest strength. Because the Sherman was simple, it could be mass-produced. Because it was reliable, it reached battlefields. Because it was easy to maintain, it kept fighting. Because it was adequate, America built tens of thousands instead of hundreds of perfect tanks. The German Panthers were mechanically superior but broke down constantly. Tigers were nearly invincible, but Germany built only 1,300. The Sherman was worse individually but won collectively. American tankers died in greater numbers per engagement, but won the war because there were always more Shermans. The tank's mediocrity enabled the quantity that achieved victory. Germany pursued perfection and lost. America accepted adequately and won. The Sherman won by being exactly good enough and nothing more. And there you have it. 15 facts proving the M4 Sherman won World War II by being worse than German tanks. Which fact shocked you most? The death trap fires or winning through quantity? Drop your thoughts below. Hit like, subscribe for more armor history, and we'll see you on TI. Subscribe for more armor history, and we'll see you on the battlefield.